Hi, welcome to my channel, The Relevance Lab. All of you use Claude. You use ChatGPT, maybe even Gemini or Copilot. But I want to ask you one question. Have you ever read the document that tells you exactly where that AI fails or what are its limitations? Because that document exists. It's public and is free. And I bet 6 to 7 out of 10 people using AI tools right now have never even heard of it. It's called a model card or a system card. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what it is, what's inside it, and most importantly, how to actually use it, whether you are a regular user, a security or a tech professional, and a business leader. Let's dive in. So what's a model card? So think about the last time you bought medicine. It could be a cough syrup or an inhaler. So there comes a small little folded paper inside the carton, and it tells you what's the medicine is for, what's the dosage is, what its composition, right? The side effects, who should not take it. You don't skip that, you read it, right? A model card is that same document, but for an AI system. It's a structured public document that an AI developer publishes alongside their model. So basically it explains what the AI was built to do, how it was trained, where it performs well, and where it doesn't, and so on. So Anthropic publishes one for Claude, OpenAI publishes for GPT, and Google publishes one for Gemini. So these aren't hidden. They are sitting in the internet right now. Most people just don't know where to look. So let's jump in. So if you look at the Claude documentation, it has the model cards for each of their models. Same is the case with Google. It has published all the model cards for the Gemini stuff, and even the OpenAI has published for their GPT 5.5 models. Now, what's inside this model card, you may ask? So, here's the breakdown. So, it contains model overview, okay? So, which tells us what it does, what type of AI it is, what updates happened when it was last updated, etc. It also contains an intended use section, which mentions the specific tasks and context this AI was designed for. The training data tells us what the AI was trained on, whether it was public internet data, licensed data sets, a mix, or whatever the case may be. The evaluation and performance gives us the test results, benchmarks, how well it works across different tasks and languages and populations. Limitations and known issues tells us where the model fails, what biases exist, and what kinds of input confuse it. Safety and mitigation measures provides info on what guardrails are built, what pre-pinning was done, what content policies apply. So let's take a quick peek at it. So if you go to the Gemini 3 Pro model card, you can see that it shares the model information, the model dependencies, then the architecture, the training data set, right? So the implementation and sustainability thing. Then they also provide the evaluation across a range of benchmarks. Then intended usage and limitations, as I was telling. They talk about ethics and content safety, right? And so on. Something similar is also published in Claude. Okay, so you can look at the responsible scaling policy evaluation, cyber evaluations, and the same is the case with the GPT system card as well. So it tells what was the model data and training, what are the safety contents, and so on. Okay, so now that you understood what's inside the model card, let's talk about why it matters or why it doesn't exist. So probably before model cards became common practice, I guess AI systems were deployed with little to no public information, I guess, about how they worked or where they broke and when they broke. So in case something broke, organizations used to struggle a bit on accountability. So model cards exist to change that. They hold developers accountable. They enable informed decisions before deployment. And nowadays, it's being increasingly being required by regulatory frameworks. And lastly, it builds trust if there is transparency about the model. Now, how to use a model card? So here's how you can start using it if you are a non-technical user or you aren't into security or IT. So if you are using an AI tool like Work, the model card tells you what it was designed for and what it wasn't. So practically, before you use an AI tool for anything sensitive, like client data, legal questions, medical decisions, check the intended use section. Okay. So if the card says it wasn't designed for that purpose, you now have a documented reason to include some human review or escalate to your IT team or choose a different model. And also when evaluating AI tools, you can ask the vendor if you have a model card. So that would reveal a lot about the AI tool vendor's accountability posture. Now, if you are a security professional, this is where it gets very interesting. So you have to look at it from both the attackers and defenders standpoint. So from an attacker's perspective, the first is the limitations section. So which will act like an attack surface map. So if the card says the model struggles with certain inputs or is vulnerable to specific prompt patterns, right? So that's an invitation for a malicious actor. So jailbreaks and prompt injection techniques or attacks often start with reading exactly what the developer has already admitted. The second thing is on the training data disclosure. So based on the training data disclosure, that enables poisoning opportunity. So when the card reveals what data sources were used, adversaries can reason out how to influence future model versions by flooding those sources with manipulated content. But if you are looking at it from a defender's lens, then there are again few things which you can look at it. So you can map every limitation to a compensating control. So for example, if the card says the model hallucinates, then for certain inputs or certain conditions, your workflow needs human verifications, right? Before that AI output goes into your official records or official communications, right? So you can use the safety measures to find your gaps. So the card tells you what the vendor built, but your job is to cover what they did. So if, for example, if they didn't mention any sensitive data filtering for your industry, right, then that gap is yours to close. And also you can make model card review as a gate, right? A quality gate, right? So treat it like a SOC 2 report or a pen testing report. Before any AI tool goes into production, a security or a risk reviewer signs off that the card has been read, the limitations have been understood, and that the controls are in place. Now, if you're a business leader, you can use it in a couple of different ways and align it with your risk and governance things. So first is use the limitations section to define your AI risk appetite. So map each limitation to a business impact, right? So if it says it wasn't designed for medical advice and you are in healthcare, that model is out of scope. Build model card reviews into your AI governance cycle. So maintain an internal inventory of every AI tool you use, then assign an owner who monitors when cards are updated, and probably include those findings in your risk management meetings. Third, you can use it as a vendor accountability lever. So whenever a vendor publishes a model card and he claims that, say, bias testing was done and prior to deployment or after deployment, you find something different, that documentation becomes your baseline for escalation and hold the vendor accountable. Cool. So here's the bottom line. So the organizations that use AI responsibly won't be the ones with the most powerful models. they will be the ones who ask the right questions before they hit deploy. And modern cards are how you do that. Thanks for watching. So hope you liked the video. Kindly like, share and subscribe for more such useful content from the Relevance Lab. Stay relevant, stay ahead.